Hello, my name is Sebbi, and welcome back to the coffee break in Minecraft. Today is Sunday, June 23rd, 2019. So, yes, I don't know where to start. The triathlon is over and it was a super overwhelming experience. So I guess I do have a lot of things to talk about, but it's super hard to really find a good starting point because there were so many things have happened, and yeah, it's now super hard to really give you a comprehensive presentation of what has happened today. So I guess the most easiest way is to just start from the beginning and just tell you what happened this day, and yeah, just do it in a maybe chronological order or so. So yeah, triathlon. About 5 months ago, I just checked a few of the pictures I took 5 months ago to figure out when have I really started to practice for the triathlon, when have I started to do the first attempt of swimming in general. I mean, I haven't been swimming for a very, very long time before having decided to participate in a triathlon. So yeah, I wasn't quite sure if I can even complete those 1,500 meters of swimming or if I would just drown or so. So it was on February 19th that I started with practicing to swim this distance. And yeah, now almost a little bit more than 5 months later, the triathlon is over, and I do have hopefully a good story to tell you. But yeah, I am quite exhausted, as you might guess. So bear with me as I basically tell you what happened today. I got up quite early, so I got up at shortly after 6 a.m. The triathlon itself started at 10:15, but of course I had to eat breakfast, I had to get there, I had to prepare everything, get my bike checked, and meet my friend who inspired me and who convinced me to do the triathlon. So there were plenty of things to do. I arrived at around maybe shortly before 8 a.m. or so at the venue. And yeah, there I was at first just confused. Okay, where to go? What to do now? How to do this? I mean, this is really the probably biggest problem of the entire situation, because it was my very first triathlon. I haven't done this before. I even haven't participated in any other sportive event. Of course, during school time, there were those yearly events, I guess, where we just had to do some sports, but it just was awkward. It was not really a true sportive event. So in this case, it really was my very first time of participating in the tournament, and this was a little bit weird, a little bit strange, but also interesting. So I was quite excited as I got there, and yeah, the first challenge was to get into the zone where you can change from swimming to bike and from bike to running. There were some bike holders basically, but to get into this zone, you first had to get your bike checked. This means you had to put on your helmet and show that the helmet sits good on your head and that the brakes are working of your bike. So after this was done, I searched for my spot, and I started to prepare my spot in a way I thought that this would be the best way. Of course, I got some tips from a very good friend, and she did triathlon for quite some time. So I already had a basic idea of what I need to do, but yeah, it was still something completely different when you then really have to do all your ideas and when you really have to implement all those things. So in this case, yeah, this was the first challenge. Then I met my friend, and I received a very interesting text message, because suddenly I received a text message from my parents who said, "All right, we are at the parking spot. Where are you?" And I was at first completely confused. Wait, what are they doing here? I mean, they are living 500 kilometers away from the place where I live right now, and I was completely confused. And well, my parents got here. My parents got here to, well, root for me, to enjoy this event. I was super surprised. So I then met my parents, I met my friend, and we were just talking and exploring a little bit the venue, because you had to figure out where to basically leave or where to enter the change zone, and where to leave it with a bike, and where to leave it when running. So there were different exits and entries, and you had to figure out where everything is. And so the time passed by relatively quickly, and suddenly it was time for the briefing for my distance. There were 3 different distances available today. You could either go for a beginner triathlon, more or less. Everyone can do this. I don't even know the exact distances. It was relatively short. I think it was just 5 kilometers running, just a few hundred meters of swimming, and cycling wasn't that much either. So it's really doable for everyone. And then there's the Olympic distance. That's what I did. That's 1.5 kilometers swimming, 38 or normally 40 kilometers of cycling. In our very case, it was 38 kilometers because of the layout of the roads and so on, and 10 kilometers running. Finally, there was the middle distance or so. I think that's half of an Ironman, and they had to do more than 2,000 meters of swimming, around 76 kilometers of cycling or so, and maybe around 20 to 21 kilometers of running. So that's basically insane, especially when you consider the weather we had here. I will get back to the weather in just a moment. So yeah, we decided to go for the Olympic distance, and this is always a challenging endeavor, I would say. So yeah, it was time for the briefing, and then it was time to get ready for the start. And since we both know, or since we both were aware of the fact that we aren't the fastest swimmers, we decided to stand in the back of the field, and we were among the last few athletes who got into the lake to start swimming. Swimming was better than I expected, because I just expected, okay, there are 200, 300 people running into the lake at the same time. This will be crazy. This will be just insane, and you will be drowned by other people or so. But it worked out quite all right. I mean, sure, I got in contact with some other swimmers. It was a little bit weird when they were crawling, and suddenly I felt their hand on my legs, pushing my legs down, because they crawled into me, and this overall was quite a weird experience. Even more weird were the turns, because there were some buoys in the water, and everyone wanted to have the shortest way around it. So everyone wanted to swim around as tight as possible, and so everything collapsed when we approached the marker. This was challenging. This was super challenging, but okay, I somehow made it, and I made it in a good time. Normally during practice, I completed those 1,500 meters in around 38 to 39 minutes. This time it were, I think, 31 minutes. So quite fast, super fast. I haven't expected to be that fast, to be honest with you. So this was cool. This was really amazing. I couldn't believe, as I looked at my watch as I left the lake, that, hey, really? This fast? That's crazy. This is unbelievable. So I ran into the zone, grabbed my bike, got ready for this. By the way, it's important to close the straps of your helmet before you grab your bike, because otherwise you might get disqualified, or never push your bike with the helmet not closed. So that's super important. That's a very important thing to do. And it took me horrible 3 minutes or so to get from swimming to biking. Other people are much faster. I don't know what the real MLG pro triathlon people do, but it's super fast. It's insanely fast. Oh, wait, the bed is down here. So this was interesting, but also crazy to be this fast in the water. Also, it was interesting to basically get out of the water and just run to the bike and grab it and start the journey. The ride on the bike was super good. The track was a little bit... The track was super alright, but it was a little bit deceiving, more or less, because you were cycling up a slope, and then you were cycling up another slope, and you thought, okay, after the next turn, it definitely will go down, but then you were cycling up another slope. So it was, at some point, it was quite exhausting, because there were a few downhill sections, but in most of the cases they were relatively short, and the uphill sections were quite long. So at least this felt from that's how I experienced it. But hey, I somehow did this, and it was super interesting because my friend, the experienced triathlon friend, predicted me to, okay, in swimming I won't have a chance, because I mean I practiced swimming 5 months ago, and I wasn't really making that much of progress. Well, I did a lot of progress, but to keep up with the fastest guy, I think, left the water after 15 or 16 minutes or so. So it took him only half the time it took me to complete those 1,500 meters. So that's crazy. That's super fast, super insane. And she predicted that I will overtake a lot of people while cycling and running, and that's exactly what happened. So during the flat segments at the start of the cycling track, I just got a few people, but as we got to the more hilly sections, wow, I got a lot of people. I got a lot of other competitors, and this was a nice feeling. It was really a good feeling. In the end, it took me 1 hour 15 minutes for the 38 kilometers. So that's really a nice time. The real and super tough section started as I changed to running. So while swimming and while cycling, I was feeling super good. At first, as I started cycling, I wasn't feeling that great because I enjoyed one of those gels that provide you with energy and nutrition and so on. And it was the very first time that I tried such a gel. So I had no idea how this tastes, how this works, how it feels. And I felt a little bit sick or so at the start of cycling because of the gel and maybe even the entire situation I was in or so. So this was a little bit problematic, but not really a huge problem. In this case, I was feeling very good while swimming, while cycling. Unfortunately, I complained about this a lot of times, that the summer here in my region is super tough. And the triathlon took place on one of those super tough days. As I got to running, it was around noon. The sun was, of course, at its highest spot as right now. So on the running track, there were about no shadows, and it was also calm. So sometimes there was a slight breeze, but most of the time the air was just standing still. And it rained yesterday. We had a pretty strong thunderstorm, so the air was also super humid, and this combination, super strong sun exposure, hot temperatures and high humidity really hit me hard. As I got down from the bike, and as the wind from cycling was no longer available for me, it really, really got tough. I tried my very best to get into my normal running speed. At first it worked out well, but it only worked out well as long as I was in the shadow, because at first you were at the venue, there were some they provided some water, and they also had some kind of showers, so I ran through this and cooled down a bit. So this was alright, but later on the first leg, I had to complete this running distance twice to get to the 10 kilometers. I really noticed how this temperature was just destroying me. It really was destroying me, and I had to slow down, and it was super tough. In some parts later on, it got better after a slight breeze hit me or so, but I think it was my second lap or so, I was just thinking, keep on running, just keep on running, just one more step, don't stop, don't start to walk, just keep on running. It was really, really tough, and I normally do running a lot. I'm normally really the running person, so swimming is my worst activity. Cycling is alright, but normally I'm the runner. I'm just the runner because that's where I really feel good. But during this kind of weather, I never had good results. It's always tough when I have to run in this kind of weather, and of course this kind of weather happened during the triathlon. And to just give you a comparison, so it took me, I guess, 54 minutes or so to complete those 10 kilometers. Normally, on a good day, I can run those 10 kilometers in 44 to 43 minutes. So basically, I was 10 minutes slower than I would normally do this. And then there's also this additional excitement, this additional high of taking part in such an event that also gives you another boost. But I was 10 minutes slower than I would normally run for this distance, and this really, I was just feeling bad, and yeah, it was sad. It was really sad that the weather was such a big issue this day. I'm not quite sure. I need to talk to my friend who did triathlon how to approach the run on a super hot day, because yeah, I think that there must be some methods, some things to keep you cool or to protect you from the heat. But I don't know. For me, it was just too much. So in the end, I completed the triathlon after 2 hours and 38 minutes, and I'm happy. I know I could have been maybe 10 minutes faster, so 2 hours and maybe 28 minutes or so if the temperatures would have been a little bit different, if the weather would have been a little bit different. But I was super fast while swimming, I was super fast while cycling, and well, in the end, maybe if the weather would have been different, I might have been at my normal time while swimming, and I would have been slower while cycling or so, and maybe I would have ended with the same time anyway or so. So yeah, completing this Olympic triathlon, my very first Olympic triathlon, my very first sportive event, never participated before in such a competition, after 2 hours and 38 minutes. Also, that's why I looked up when have I started training. As I said, I haven't been swimming or cycling for years before having started practicing and preparing for the triathlon. And yeah, I managed to complete it, and I managed to complete it in a time below 3 hours. And yeah, when it just makes me so much more happy when I just think about it, that it was possible to get to this kind of level after just 5 months of practice. Of course, others might have been even more prepared, but I mean, I just did it as a it's basically it was just a therapy for while writing the thesis, to not lose my mind. I mean, I lost some parts of my mind while writing the thesis, but still, I just did it while working on a thesis, while writing this dissertation, while doing normal work, while attending conferences, while having a full and maxed out life anyway. And sport just was a thing to keep me mentally sane. And sure, when others practice, I mean, they might do it way more often, or they might have also practiced the entire event, so basically combining all those disciplines. That's another thing. I never combined all the disciplines. I never did swimming, cycling, and running the same day. It was the very first time that I combined all those 3 disciplines, and still I got this result. So yeah, I'm super happy with it. Of course, as I said, the change times were super slow. I mean, I'm quite sure you can trim it down to maybe 30 seconds or maybe a minute or so. So I would have saved, let's say, 4 minutes or so, or 3 to 4 minutes while changing, maybe even more. I don't know how fast the quicker guys are. So this could have been improved. Of course, somehow my swimming is still problematic. So there's a lot of room for improvement. And with the temperature, I mean, when there are some strategies, maybe how to do running on such a hot day after having swum and cycled, I'm quite sure there's so much more potential, and this also makes me happy, and it just shows to me what I'm capable of. So it's really an exhilarating feeling, and I'm super happy, and I don't really know how to put everything into perspective. I mean, I'm just telling you things that happened. What is it? 5 hours ago or so, 6 to 5 hours ago, and I really need to now think about it, calm down a bit, relax a bit, and think about it. And maybe next time I can give you a different feeling, because right now it's just my first impressions. That's also why I saved this episode for this day, that I haven't pre-recorded it, basically, because I just wanted to give you the real feeling. And the feeling is just that it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. It was really great, and I would do it again because it was so much fun. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot what to do, how to improve things, and those things you can just learn from experience. So yeah, I'm super happy. My friend who inspired me to do triathlon was also happy. She finished it in 3 hours and 30 minutes or so. So she was nearly an hour slower than me, but still she was super happy and super excited, and that's cool. That she did it, and that's all what counts, that you finish the event, and the time basically doesn't matter as long as you really get it to the end. Then everything is fine and good and nice. What else? Finishing the event is important. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's just interesting to experience all those things, and yeah, I think that's really about it. I mean, I'm still exhausted. I still need to rest, and yeah, I think I will. Oh yes, one last thing. I'm not quite sure. They put out the results, so basically a list of the results. I'm not quite sure if this is just a preliminary list of results, because we couldn't find my friend on the list, and so I'm not quite sure how many people have started in my category, but I finished in position 106, so 105 people were faster than me, but I think I got a lot of them while cycling. So I'm really curious where I ended up, in which part of the field I ended up after the event. Also, it was quite interesting, or quite surprising, because the short distance, they started 15 minutes ahead of us, and they were done swimming before we were allowed to start our event, to start our swim. And I got some people from this short distance while cycling, also by running, and this also is crazy. I mean, they started 15 minutes ahead of us. They had to swim a shorter distance, they had to cycle a shorter distance, and I still managed to get them. So yeah, I must have been relatively quick, I guess. But yeah, this concludes the first impressions of my triathlon. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will be joining me next time. I hope you will be a little bit inspired by what you can do when you do things for 5 months or so, and when you are really dedicated. So yeah, I really hope it inspires you. This is all I really like to achieve. And so, thank you so much for watching. I hope I see you again on Wednesday for maybe a more detailed analysis of my triathlon. Until then, my name is Sebbi. See you!